Hello and welcome to Mom Your Way, the podcast for moms who are ready to stop second-guessing themselves and start showing up with calm, confidence, and self-trust. I'm Lauren LaSalle, mentor, mom, and fellow human in the middle of messy motherhood. Around here, we don't do perfection, we do presence. Each week, you'll hear honest conversations, gentle encouragement, and grounded support to help you tune into your own wisdom, care for yourself without guilt, and mother in a way that actually works for you. Because your way is the right way. So let's take a deep breath and begin. Hello and welcome to the podcast. I am recording with my cup of tea. It's been pretty hot here, but I always like to have my tea, my black tea in the morning. So I sort of have to just deal with the heat on top of the heat, but that's just part of my routine. And I am getting to record this right now because my husband and my daughter are going to do errands together, which is one of the things that they like to do together, which is really sweet. So I am so grateful to have this time because I have something that happened a couple nights ago that I wanted to share about because this is something that all moms deal with. So today I want to talk about stepping away from my daughter's bedtime routine for the first time in almost 3 years. She will be 3 in a week and a half at the time that I record this, and she always nursed to sleep for the first about 2.5 years of her life. And she really loved contact napping. She always needed me to lie down in bed with her to fall asleep. And so it was always me that she needed. My husband, very briefly, when she was a baby, was able to sort of help settle her down at night once in a while. But mostly it was me that she needed, especially because, like I said, she nursed to sleep for both naps and at night. And so I've definitely been her security blanket. She never had a blanket or a stuffed animal or a toy, anything that was her security object. It's always been me, and it's still me to a certain degree, but now that she's almost 3, she's becoming a little more independent, which is great. And also lately, or at least for the past few months, she's had a lot of trouble generally falling asleep at night. So what this looks like is I lie down with her in bed, and she used to sleep with us until, again, about a little over 2.5 years old is when she decided that she was ready to go sleep in her own bed in her own bedroom. And that was great because we knew the baby was coming in a couple months. And at this point, he's due any day now. And so it was just really perfect timing for her to be ready to move out of our room so that the baby can sleep in the bassinet in our room and we don't have a jam-packed full bed. So I still in her bedroom now will lie down with her, and she likes her dad to be in there too, just in the room, usually just knowing that we're both there with her. But it's been taking at least an hour minimum for her to fall asleep. She gets really wound up at bedtime. We've tried all kinds of different things. Not really sure what to do at this point to wind her down. I do know that she's really overtired by the time it's bedtime because she decided to drop her naps a couple months ago at the same time that I had to stop nursing her to sleep. Because when you're pregnant, it feels like the worst feeling ever to nurse. It's horrible. And so I just got to the point where I couldn't do it anymore. I dreaded it. My whole body just felt I hate this. I can't do this. And I felt bad about it too because she depended on me to help her fall asleep in that way. But we got through that transition, and Now things are great. She can fall asleep on her own as long as I'm right there with her in bed. But because it could take up anywhere from an hour to sometimes like 2 hours for her to fall asleep. And this isn't even just falling asleep. This is like calming down. It takes most of the time for her to settle down, and then she falls asleep pretty fast after that. But it's very exhausting. She's all over the place most of the time. And so what we've started doing, especially because now the baby's due in about a week, and I'm just tired all the time, no matter how much sleep I get at night. And so bedtimes have been really exhausting. So what we've done is we've started to take her for a drive in the car before, or like right at bedtime. And it usually takes her under half an hour to fall asleep in the car. We can just throw her over our shoulders when we get home, put her in her bed. She stays asleep. She usually sleeps throughout the whole night or just needs me like once. Unless she's awake for multiple hours like she was last night in the middle of the night, which is a different story. But we're talking about just bedtime here. So because we have started going for the car rides, at least for the time being, I definitely don't want it to become a habit. But for our sanity, like this is just something we have to do right now. So the other night, 2 nights ago, I told my husband, like, I have things I would like to do when I like to get some time to myself. Would you be fine just bringing her in the car, just you guys, for like a nighttime car ride? And he was like, yeah, sure. And so they went to the pet store, and because she loves to go to the pet store. So they went to the pet store, and then they came home, and I got some time to do what I needed to do. She fell asleep in the car, stayed asleep when he put her in bed. It was great. And then I realized that was the first bedtime that I was not really a part of in almost 3 years. And it was such a weird realization because it just, I don't know, like I'm just so used to it. It's been so long that I've been a part of her falling asleep that it just felt strange to realize like, oh, I wasn't a part of this one. And it's because it was my choice too. So I sort of, once I realized that, I thought I would feel worse about it, but honestly, I felt really awesome. Because she still needs me for so many things in general, that it's really nice to be able to separate this a little bit and not totally need me for bedtime in some instances. And it's also great because when we are in the hospital, when the baby is being born, she's going to be staying with my parents. And I'm guessing they're going to have to give her a car ride to help her fall asleep, because if she takes so long to fall asleep with her parents, she's really going to be, I know, wanting us at bedtime with my parents. And so that's going to be a big struggle. So they will have to take her for a car ride so she can fall asleep and then transfer her into bed. So it's all been really great timing with the baby coming and her readiness to do these things. And yeah, like I said, I thought I would sort of feel worse about it, but it feels really nice and it feels really freeing to be able to do this right now, especially when I'm just so exhausted all the time. And I really like whatever can be taken off my plate right now while I'm still pregnant is fantastic. So I wanted to bring this up in this episode because as moms, we go through these transitions, especially with young kids. They change so quickly, and just, yeah, things in general change, and their independence grows, and there are certain things that we become less involved in or not involved in anymore. And it can bring up a lot of mixed feelings. Like maybe you can feel guilty about it, or sad, or happy. Like I sort of feel free knowing that I don't always have to be there for bedtime, at least not right now. Because when the baby comes, he will need me all the time. So being able to sort of let go of this, like step back from this a little bit with my daughter so that I know that when the baby comes, I can be fully present for him as much as possible when he needs me feels really, really good. And I know I'll just be able to be there for her, continue to be there for her in different ways that I've been there for her all along. But sort of like passing on the torch to my husband, at least for now. And then we'll see how it goes once we stop the car rides. But it does feel really weird after almost 3 years to no longer be a full part of this. And I think it's totally normal to be so in love with your child and also get to the point where you need to step back from certain routines and certain things that you do with them. Like, this was just too stressful, especially having a big old pregnant belly. Was getting a little scary in bed because she would roll around so much and then sometimes like accidentally kick me in the stomach. Not hard, but it made me worried, and it obviously like hurt, but I didn't want the baby to be injured either, which I'm sure he's fine. It wasn't that hard, but because that happened every night, it got a little worrisome for myself and my husband. And then just the stress of waiting for her to go to bed it just got to be too much. So sometimes it's okay to just take a step back or figure out an alternative, which can feel weird, especially if you've been doing things the same way for so long. It can feel weird to go, okay, I think this isn't working anymore. We need to figure out a different way to do this. And maybe this doesn't have to include me. So to wrap up this episode, if you have kids or young kids, think about your own milestones or moments of letting go. Is this something that you have had to deal with them? Is this something that, if your kids are old enough, have you gone through this yet? What was it and how did it make you feel? And if you have had a moment where you had to step away from something that's sort of been part of your identity as a mom, whether it felt freeing, it felt strange, or bittersweet, just know that you are not alone, and this is something that we all deal with. And it's okay to change and evolve, and it's okay to step back. It doesn't mean that you love your child any less. It just means that you're human and you have things that you need as well, even if that means stepping back. So motherhood changes, and so do we, so do our kids, and that is okay. So if you haven't already, start noticing your own needs as they evolve. Like for me, being a part of bedtime was fine until now. I am pregnant and I know we have another baby coming, and so things need to shift a little bit in certain areas in our lives. So notice how your needs evolve too, and what you can do to help support your needs as well as your kids and your family's needs. So I'll include links to all of my mentorship programs in the episode description. If you are a mom of littles or a little who is looking for extra support, check out those links. I have one-to-one mentorship, group mentorship, a community. So check all of those out. Send me an email if you have any questions. I would love to help support you. As you know from listening to the podcast, I am in the midst of it as well with a almost 3-year-old and a baby who will arrive any day now. Definitely by the time this episode comes out, he will be here. So I would love to help support you and build a community of moms that can all support each other, because we need it. We need to connect with other people who know what we are going through. All right. So I hope if you have been going through a transition in your motherhood journey, that this episode resonated with you and made you feel better and not alone. If you know of a mom who needs to hear this episode, please share it. I would also appreciate if you could take a minute to rate and review this. I know on Spotify you can just rate it. On Apple Podcasts you can rate and give it a review. I would so appreciate that. It really helps build the podcast and put it out there more so other people can find it. And with that, I will see you in the next episode. Thank you so much for listening to the Mom Your Way podcast. You can help support the podcast by taking a minute to rate and review it, or share a favorite episode with a fellow mama. Visit laurenlasalle.com for free resources, information about my programs, and to join my email list. You can connect with me on Instagram at @IamLaurenLasalle or email me at lauren@laurenlasalle.com. See you next week.